What's going on, guys? Deadbeat Dev Steve here, and welcome back to my playthrough of Dark Souls 2, which I've, decided to call Dark Chat. So, in the last episode, talked about the whole Game of the Year edition for Dark Souls 2 coming out. One of the things I touched on a little bit was comparisons between Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 2. In this episode, I wanted to, talk about those issues that people are having, saying, one is better than the other and in certain ways. In this issue, we want to talk a little bit about like why people are saying that the lore in Dark Souls 1 was better than the lore in Dark Souls 2. I really don't think that's the case. I think that, well, here, let's just talk about why people think that. For one thing, in Dark Souls, the story was pretty easy to understand at first. You were given a decent amount of information from the get-go. You had that awesome cinematic, seeing all the different lords, fighting the dragons and whatnot. In Dark Souls 2, you're not given all that much. You're just it's just focusing on like you're a cursed person, and you go to Drang Lake, find a cure for the curse. Not much more than that. And I think that left people like thinking, what, that's it? And to be fair, yeah, that's really not a whole lot to go off of, but I think that they handled the lore pretty much the same way like they did in Dark Souls 1. It's, it's very obscure. It's there if you look for it, but it's not baby fed to you. You gotta, look for it, you gotta talk to people, go to different places, read item descriptions, the whole 9 yards. Just like in Dark Souls. But I think another thing is that for some people who, like me actually, got into it when it came out on PC, which was, I believe, a year after it came out on console, so by the time PC players had at it, if there was something you didn't know, there was already guides for it. There was already, a wiki. There was already someone doing a playthrough or someone explaining everything you needed to know about the game. So in that sense, the lore was more accessible. It was more right there. Like, there was someone keeping track of everything. Whereas when Dark Souls 2 came out, obviously, well, to be fair, I guess you could say the console players had about a month ahead of the PC players. But still, I don't think it's that much of an advantage as far as that goes. But hey, you know what? Some people that do those speed runs finish it in like finish the game in like a day. They're able to do a lot. But I think it's just that everyone was already like, or at least a lot of people that got into Dark Souls 2 had already played Dark Souls 1, so they already knew what to expect. Or I guess, they weren't expecting to have to hunt down everything. I mean, I know when I first played it, my buddy got the game for Xbox 360, and so we had both been looking forward to it, so we decided to make a character together and just play through the game where if, every time one of us dies, we switch off. And it was just a lot of fun trying to figure everything out for the first time, because exactly that, we couldn't look at anything up. We had to just figure everything out on our own. Like when we first saw like certain enemies or heard about certain people, we had to just make up our own stuff on it. And I guess in that sense, maybe some people didn't like that, or they just weren't expecting it because, again, they think the lore was too obscure or too hard to understand. I don't know. If you have any thoughts on this, put them down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear anything you have to say, whether you agree with me, disagree with me, or your own personal opinion on it, your own personal take. But it's, I don't know, you have characters like, for example, the Emerald Herald, and you have Kale here. It's not that hard to figure everything out. I mean, to be fair, it's like, yeah, everyone's cursed, everyone's trying to find a cure for the curse. I mean, it was kind of like that in Dark Souls, except it was to try to link the fire. There's not much of that here. But But to be fair, I did enjoy the story. Some things I didn't like about it were, first of all, how it ended. The fact that we didn't get two types of endings, whether we take the seat or we don't take the seat at the end after we kill Nishandra. I would prefer to have the choice, just like in Dark Souls 1, to either become the, I guess you could say the new king, the next monarch, or to just walk away, like I suppose some people might have wanted to do. But hey, but then, you know, of course, some people are able to figure out that it's explained that it doesn't matter what you do. Either way, the ending's going to be the same because all the events that happen just play out again. So I suppose that's, you know, that's an excuse. They didn't have to. Let's see. Fire bombs? Yeah, there's... Oh, just one. But all in all, I enjoyed the story of Dark Souls 2. I like the characters. I like how we had a, basically people are referring to as a female Sholar in Lucatiel. I enjoyed that. Someone who was, you know, following, basically, not really following you, but sort of following a similar path to you and helping you out wherever she could. I just wish it could have been like in Dark Souls 1 where we could have, you know, saved her and then have her help us fight at the end. Something that was, you know, that's another thing I didn't really like too much, is that at the ending boss fight, it was just us, and if you know, if you did like one little thing for either Ben-Hart or Vengarl, then you could summon those two.
I'll leave.
But it wasn't really that meaningful, because it was like, you know, I hadn't really been with him that long. Like, all you did for Ben-Hart was just, you know, you opened a way that you had to get through anyway. It wasn't really you had to go out of your way to help either of them. I mean, Vengarl, you had to kill his body after you kill Duke's Dear Freya anyway, so it wasn't really like you, like with Sholar, where you had to actually achieve rank 2 in the Chaos Covenant so that you could save him from going insane. I mean, that I liked. And the fact that you wouldn't know it from your first playthrough, like there's no way you could figure that out just from doing it on your first playthrough, without anyone telling you, or without reading a guide somewhere. There's no way anyone would figure that out. And I liked that, because it made playing through the game a second time a viable option. Whereas with this, you know, there aren't too many things that, I don't think there's too many things that someone might miss. If you play through, you know, you might miss a couple lore points if you don't do some optional bosses or whatever, but I think people mostly get the general gist of the whole story. You might miss Lucatiel a couple times, but I don't know. But then again, I suppose this is all about how they wanted to make the game more accessible to new players. You know, make it easier for people that aren't familiar with the Souls series to get into it. And again, I can understand that way of thinking, because it's still a hard game. The lore is still obscure. Obscure as fuck, actually. And yet, it's still a lot easier for a new player to get into. In my opinion, at least. But then again, I played Dark Souls 1. I didn't play Demon Souls. Yeah, I'm not a true Souls fan. I didn't play the original game. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Never had a PS3. I have no intention to. Of getting one. But I did play Dark Souls 1, played all of that. Literally all of it. I found every single possible secret that could be found, talked to every single NPC. Did everything that could be done in that game. So, when it came to Dark Souls 2, I mean, aside from getting used to the controls, it was really just... It was really so familiar, it was so easy. It did not take that long for me to get the game. I mean, all it was just learning new enemies and boss fights, and, you know, aside from, like, one death here and there, you know, there wasn't a whole lot of dying, actually. I think just a couple times in the beginning when I was learning the control scheme of just, you know, embarrassingly rolling off a ledge, but, you know, I suppose that's, well, not to be expected. That's just kind of embarrassing. But hey, it happens to the best of us, hopefully. Oh, that's right, I forgot to get the, Pharaoh's Lockstone. Need more souls for that. Is that enough? I probably don't. Oh, we might. Yeah, we do. Cool. So yeah, that's my whole take on the way the lore was handled in Dark Souls 2, and of course, when Scholar of the First Sin comes out, they're going to be adding a new NPC that will also help to, once again, expand upon that lore even further. Even more so than the DLCs already have, which, you know, if you play through the DLCs, you find out more about certain NPCs, or, well, not certain NPCs, but certain significant figures in the lore that we don't actually meet, we just hear a lot about, and they're supposed to be very important and significant. But, you know what? We'll just have to see how the lore is when Scholar of First Sin comes out. Like I said in the last video, I disagree with how it seems they are going to be handling that. It seems. I'm just going to stress that right now, that nothing is certain. No one knows what the pricing is going to be, if there is going to be a price for it. So, you know, obviously everyone should voice their concerns. It's, you know, everyone, you know, there's two sides to it. Everyone's like saying, oh, you guys need to stop raging until we find out what's really going to happen. And yes, I agree with that. You know, people just yelling, saying fuck From Software, fuck Namco, Bandai, whatever. That doesn't do anything. However, the people that are voicing their concerns, saying that they're unhappy if the game is going to cost them something, or if they're going to have to rebuy the entire game all over again just to get access to these much needed updates, these updates that should have been in the game to begin with, like, you know, the DX11 support, the better graphics, the better lighting, all that stuff that was supposedly promised at E3, but then apparently was downgraded to fit with the console hardware. But you have to voice your concerns in a constructive, very constructive way. Otherwise, you know, no one's going to take you seriously. Because if you're the developer and you just see everyone saying, "Fuck you guys, you fucking suck," all that kind of stuff, are you really going to want to listen to them? No, of course not. Oh, lost connection to Steam. Oh, whatever. You, come on, get over here. But yeah, that's my whole take on that. You know, definitely voice your concerns if you are unhappy with it. Let them know. Let them know that people don't like what they're doing. But again, do it in a constructive way. Be mature about your comments. You know, don't just spam profanity. It's not going to do anyone any good. It just makes all the Dark Souls fans look bad. But yeah, I'm really hoping. I mean, I think regardless how they're going to price it, whether it's going to be free, whether it's going to be cheap, whether it's going to be buying the whole game all over again, I'm probably going to get it. But, you know, that just goes without saying. I probably said this in the last episode, but yeah, I'm going to get it just because I love this game. I need the better graphics. I need the lore. I need the multiplayer. All that good stuff. I need it. I mean, if you're telling me that this is going to make the game better than it already is, and I already love the game, then how can I say no to that? It's kind of unfair in a way, but, you know, when you're a fan of a game, you'll pretty much buy anything the developers pull out, and I suppose that is the flaw. And what is going to justify them putting a price tag on it is that fans like me, who will buy it anyway, I don't know, maybe I'm part of the problem, maybe I'm not. I still am extremely unhappy if the game is going to be buying another $50 for it. I mean, I won't have to get the season pass again. I'll have all the DLC included, but still, that's another $50 I feel like I shouldn't be spending. But anyway, that's all I've got to say for this episode, guys. I will see you guys later. This is Deadbeat Dev Steve, signing off. Peace out.